Hello everybody. Okay, so I am home. My grandma's funeral's tomorrow, and something I've been saying I'm going to do for months and I've never done it. I'm not the gear video type, but I'm going to do a gear video. So I'm going to try to do this, just not going to get into specifics on everything. I'm going to try to go through my whole pack. I know there will be some people like planning for 2023 or 2024, kind of wanting to get an idea of what works and what don't. So I'll try to cover some of that kind of stuff as well, and the reason I picked things or why I've changed some of the things I was carrying, as well as just a very general overview for friends and family and people who may know nothing about backpacking. So let me go ahead and just, I don't know that I'll actually start exactly with the big three. I'm just going to kind of go through the pack. Now, one of the things that I guess I have a little bit of an issue with all these gear videos on YouTube is people do the gear video as they're preparing to hike, and many of them have no real world experience with this gear, and they just give their thoughts on the gear without actually having any kind of real world experience. So a lot of this gear I've carried well over 2,000 miles. When I got off the AT to come home for a couple days, I have 1,615 miles this year. I hiked a 510 mile section last year. I through hiked the Foothills Trail in December, and then I have a couple other weekend trips in there. So some of this gear I have over 2,300 miles on. And I will, as I go through each item, I'll kind of give an idea of if I've changed, what I carried and why I've switched and whatnot. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with these fake Crocs. So these are Dollar General, $5 fake Crocs. The fake ones are actually lighter than the real ones. These came from Walmart. I just bought them. I've had a pair of the ones I normally use. They have 2,300 hiking miles on them. And you know, I wear them around town and camp and whatnot. The bottoms were just so soft and thin, I could feel everything under them. So I picked these up at Walmart the other day, $5. I don't know exactly how much they weigh. I'm not going to go through weights of everything because I'm not a gram weenie. I will tell you that my entire pack, I don't have bottles of water. I was going to buy some new bottles before I hit the trail. I do have 4 full days of food, and I don't mean like 4 full days of starting off with Springer food. I'm talking 1,600 miles in, hiker hunger, 4 days of food. If you're just starting off, this may last you like 8 days. And I'm 22.8 pounds with everything. That includes a full bottle of bug spray, a full can of fuel, everything except 2 bottles of water. So with water, if I'm carrying 2 liters, I would be at like 27.2. So put those aside. This is the Gossamer Gear Thin Light 1/8 inch foam pad. I've been carrying this just on the hike this year, so I have 1,600 miles on it, and I like it. I use it to put under my sleep pad or my air mattress so it doesn't slide as much in my tent. It gives it a little more protection as well. And when we get the air mattresses, those of you that have been following my journey know I've had some air mattress issues. I'm not sure that this may not have been the culprit of some of the issues with my Thermarest when I started. Just like little burrs or sharp things maybe getting stuck in here, and then the pad being on top of them, which would normally just would have fallen over. But I don't know that for sure, just a thought. But I'm going to continue carrying it. It weighs not much of anything. It also works as a sit pad to lay out on the ground. So I will continue carrying this Gossamer Gear pad. I know some people that have picked these up at like Dollar General, Five Below, or different kind of places. You can get like a thin yoga mat for $5. I don't know, I like this one. They're hard to get, but when you can get them, they're very good. So let's just go with the pack. This is a Gossamer Gear Mariposa, weighs just under 2 pounds. All the backpacking I've ever done in the last 2 years has been with this pack, and it's in great shape. I've washed it. I washed it again here since I've been home, and we washed them, as you saw in another video, maybe a month or so ago. Other than that, like, it's holding up like a champ, except for the chest strap buckle. I think Gossamer Gear could have better customer service. I've had to call them a couple times on different things, and they respond to emails. They don't have a phone number. Let me rephrase this. I had to email them. They respond to emails timely, but their answers usually aren't great. I needed the male side of this buckle. It was cracked, and their response was, they have them online for $1, but they're out. So I called or I emailed and said, hey, I'm in the middle of a through hike, I just need the buckle. They're like, yeah, you could source one locally, a 5/8 inch buckle, or we'll probably have them in stock at the end of the year. It's like, come on, I'm 1,600 miles in of a through hike, I need one now. I ended up sourcing them locally, and the ones I bought didn't quite work. My dad had an extra buckle of some sort. So what I had to do, this side was easy. The female side though, I had to cut the straps and sew them. So I sewed it with needle and thread and with dental floss since I've been home. Hopefully this lasts the rest of the trip. Other than that, this pack has been great. It's comfortable, less than 2 pounds. It'll hold, it's rated for like 35 pounds of carrying weight, and I think it would do it with no problem. It's a comfortable pack. It's shaped a little different because a lot of the packs now are more narrow and tall, and I like that this one's short. The top of the pack rarely goes over the top of my shoulders. It has a collar that will extend if need be for more food or whatnot, but I rarely ever do that. So I love the pack. The only gripe I have is the colors aren't very sexy. They do have something going now, some wild purple and teal colors. I don't know, I maybe would try a Hyperlight for another hike, but I've got no complaints. I know it works well for me, so I'd have no problem sticking with that. So let me dig in here. While we're on the big three, as they call it, which was your pack, your tent, and your sleep system. So my tent is Z-Packs Duplex. I love this thing. I love this thing. Yes, they're pricey. This is, let me do just, my hand is this big. It's a tiny tent. It weighs like 20 ounces. This is a thicker fabric version. Yeah, they're $700 or $750, I think, for the thicker fabric. Well worth it. Super light. Goes up with your trekking poles. When I first started the backpacking thing, I bought a, what is it called? A big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2. I used it one night on my first overnight in a state park here in Missouri. I broke the zipper. That was probably just my problem, but Big Agnes fixed it, but this was during COVID, so it took them a while. In the meantime, I bought a Gossamer gear, the One, which was a lightweight trekking pole tent. I used that for my entire 510-mile section hike last year. I really liked it, no complaints, but I really just wanted a dynamic Cuban fiber tent, so this is amazing. And as you saw in some other videos, Moss bought a Z-Packs Duplex as well. So if you're looking for 2023 or beyond, highly recommend these. And since I've got on trail, they came out with the Duplex XL, and I don't know the specs, but it's just a little bit longer. And I would probably, I don't know, and maybe I don't know what the weight penalty is, maybe an ounce or something. I'd consider the Duplex or Duplex XL. So moving on with the big three, let's go to the sleep system. We've got the pack and the tent out of the way. So, like I showed you, oh, Lucy's coming in. She's right here, but she's just under the camera. All the dogs just came out with my dad onto the deck. So right now I'm using the Sea to Summit Ether Light. I have no complaints with this pad, really. I really liked what I started with and I used on my section last year and on the Foothills Trail. And what I started with this year was a Thermarest Neo Air X Light, and I used the wide version. I had no problems with it before this year, and I'd also used it on several motorcycle trips. It was probably just had its life used, but I got several holes. I patched it several times. I really wanted to get another one of those because I liked it, and then I would get it in a non-wide version because I'm a side sleeper and I really just don't need the wide version. So I couldn't find one when I was on trail when I was trying to get a new pad. So I ended up with this. It was one of the only things I could find. It is 6 ounces heavier than a Thermarest Neo Air X Light regular, which is like 12.5 ounces. This sucker's like 17 ounces, but I sleep good on it. If someone gave me a Neo Air X Light, like if there was one at a local store that I can go pick up for the 6 ounce savings, I may go buy it, but I don't know. We only got 580 miles left. I'm gonna stick with this for now. And as you all saw, I did have a problem with the first one of these. The Sea to Summit customer service was amazing. They had me a brand new one within like 3 days, shipped to a trail town. The rest of my big three, I started with a Enlightened Equipment 10 degree Enigma quilt. Enigma is the one that has the sewn toe box, and I also got that in the overstuff with 950 fill power. Started with that when it was cold and on March 10th. Had no problems, never even remotely got cold. I switched that out at about, I think, Daleville, Virginia. I bought a Enlightened equipment, and I got the Revelation. The Revelation is the one that can zip and come apart and be just a complete quilt. And I got a synthetic 40 degree, and I have loved that. It has been perfect. I would love to keep carrying it for the rest of the trip. It's a good bit lighter than my 10 degree down. However, I just need the warmer quilt as I get into the whites and in southern Maine. So when I came home, I switched that out. I've been, for the last few months, using the 40 degree synthetic. When I go back to trail, I have the 10 degree down. I will show you when I get there, but it's in the bottom of my pack. So that's pretty much one other component I have to my sleep system. I have a Cedar Summit Aeros pillow. I think this is the Ultralight regular. I don't know if it's the premium or whatever it is. It's just a really small pillow. Blow it up with like 3 breaths of air. And I'm a side sleeper, so this is not enough for me. I also use my mid layer, which I've kept all through the summer, and my Puffy. I have a synthetic Puffy I'll show you. I stuff that inside the mid layer and fold the mid layer and tie the arms around it, put it on top of my pillow, and I sleep really good in my tent. So that's it for the sleep system, the pack, and the tent. So now let's go into some other items. Let's go with water filter. I have a Sawyer. The Sawyer Squeeze is one of the most popular filters on trail, but I opted not to use that. I really like the Katadyn Bee-Free filter. So this is the filter. It does not filter out viruses, neither does the Sawyer. It just filters out bacteria and protozoa. It's been great. It's light, it's small. I like that it fits flush inside this bag. I started with a C-Knock bag that are ever so popular on trail, and I just didn't like it. And then it started leaking. I saw someone else that had one of these Hydra Packs. I love the Hydra Pack. And you may have seen Moss really liked the Hydra Pack, and she ordered one as well, which we're both using. It's a 3-liter reservoir, so if I'm in a dry spot, I need to carry it as much as I don't want to carry the weight. I do have capacity to carry 5 liters of water with 3 in the Hydra Pack wet reservoir. I don't know how the warranty works because I've never had to use it. However, there is a no leak guarantee on the Hydra Pack. So I guess if they get the leak, they'll replace it. So that's that. I love my filter. This or the Sawyer are pretty much both. They're pretty much everything you see on trail. They're very rarely do you see anything other than a Katadyn Bee-Free or a Sawyer Squeeze. I mean, you get some people with these big elaborate platypus systems and all that, but you don't see many thru hikers with anything other than those two. That's a clothing bag. We'll get to that later. I do carry a first aid kit. This is not what comes in it. I just used the bag. I pretty much made my own. I'm not going to go through everything in here. I also have repair stuff. I have some duct tape. I do have some emergency water tablets in case my filter would break or something. So I have iodine tablets for water. I do carry a spare lid for that fits the threads of a Life Water or Smart Water bottle. Needle, thread, tenacious tape. Anything I need to repair myself or my gear is in this little bag. Let's see. So my Diddy Bag. I carry, different people call them different things. I carry one bag for my Diddy Bag and electronics bag. Some people like have separate bags for those. I have some medication here, phone cords, your phone charging cords, and make sure you have an Anchor fast charge. So when you're just stopping in town really quickly, this thing will put a 50% charge on an iPhone 13 Pro in less than 30 minutes. They're a little pricey for a charging block. I know they're like 30 bucks or so, but it has the USB-C, I think, the one that's fast. And so if you carry a lightning cable to this, and then you can't charge from my power bank from that. So I have to have 3 cables total that'll charge everything I carry. So this is a double charger. Some of these cheaper blocks, if it's like 5 amp or whatever, it'll divide the ampage through, is ampage a word? It'll divide the power delivery between both outputs. Spend the money, get the extra one that doesn't do that. I carry a 10 milliamp hour anchor. It's smaller than a deck of cards. I think it's like 6-ish ounces. Moss carries like a 20 or 26. She carries a huge power bank, but she's carrying a Kindle and all kinds of stuff. I have never come close to running out of power with all the videoing, vlogging. I listen to music in my tent at night. I've been listening to audiobooks. But the only electronics I carry are my phone and my headlamp. And that's it. So the extent of my electronics, I have three charge cables, the anchor block, and then this is an anchor 10 milliamp hour. I know that's the thing that a lot of people are worried they're going to run out of batteries, and they're carrying 20 milliamps and there's a 26.8 milliamp, 26,800 milliamp. I don't think you need any of that stuff unless you're just never going to town. I know I go to town a lot, but I do carry a spare mini Bic lighter in here. Bag of vitamin I, my inhaler. You definitely want to have a pair of earplugs for hostels and shelters and, you know, the loud snorers. And then I have two. I thought I had two. What did I do with the other one? I must have dropped it somewhere. I lost something somewhere along the line. This is a light load towel. I have two new ones I was taking with me, and I was not going to carry the old one. I threw it away. But I don't know what I did with the other one. I must have dropped it when I was packing up in the house. This is the extent of a knife. I know everybody's going to ask you when you're getting ready to hike next year, are you going to carry a gun? No, 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 no. Are you going to carry a knife? No. This little Swiss Army knife has actually a pretty good set of nail clippers on it for your toenails. And it has a little knife, it has like a nail file, and it has a pair of scissors right here. But this is all I've needed. I've never had a situation where I've needed anything else. I think there's a mini pair of tweezers on here as well. I've never really used these because I do carry a good pair of tweezers in my medical repair kit because I have problems with ingrown toenails. And I also carry a pair of surgical scissors in there. And I've had to cut out some of the ingrown toenails with those things. All right, this is my mid layer. This thing is amazing, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it because it's like Kuyu, Kayu, I don't know. It's like K-U-I-U or K. Hold on, what is it? K-U-I-U. It's like a hunting brand. This thing is amazing, and this is what I wore all the time early on. And a lot of you have commented and asked what it was. They're like $100. This is the Peloton 97. They have some heavier ones, like heavier weight and heavier, obviously. It's like the inside's like a micro grid fleece, or it's not grid, it's just maybe like a micro fleece. All the dogs are out here. And the outside is more like a, what do you call it? Like a, I don't know. Look it up, K-U-I-U. These are amazing, they're $100. I'm probably gonna buy more of their stuff just to wear everyday life because I love it. It also has, which I don't use, but a lot of people like, it has the thumb hole on the sleeve, and it'll cover if you need to use it for sun, like a upper sun glove, or when it's really cold, just an extra coverage. It also has a super lightweight hood, but this is probably, I don't know, everything is my favorite gear, I wouldn't be carrying it, but this is really close to one of my favorite gear items. So while we're on clothes, let's stick with that. I'm carrying a synthetic Puffy, which I thought I would never do, but I saw these on sale, and my sister needed something to get me for Christmas this last year, and I said, oh, let's try one of these. So it's a Light Equipment synthetic, what is it called? The Torrid Apex, I think, maybe? And this year on trail, I have seen as many as 7 of these color Torrid Apexes in one place. They got wildly popular this year, so almost none last year, just a few. But they ran a good sale on these things, and I've seen 7 at one time, all in one place. So if you want to be unique, don't buy the green Torrid Apex, but I think this thing's 12 ounces or something, and it's not a flattering cut. It's pretty big and baggy, which I don't mind. I like. Some people don't like that it's kind of frumpy looking. I have also a Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer, and it's definitely lighter. I think it's like 8 or 9 ounces, whereas this is like 12 ounces, but it's synthetic. You don't have to worry about getting wet, and especially early on, since I had down quilt, I just wanted the synthetic. Other thing, the synthetic doesn't compress as much, so it takes some more room in your pack, but it makes a lot better pillow. So I have been carrying this all summer, mainly just because for the pillow. So while we're on clothing, let's see what else is in my clothing bag. I do carry one spare pair of underwear. I do not like the ones that everybody loves. Everybody loves ex officio. I hate those things. They're so uncomfortable. They don't fit well. Maybe I just got the wrong ones. I don't know. Y'all love them. I don't like them. These are some cheap underwear from Amazon that are amazing. They're so comfortable. I wear one pair and I carry one extra pair of those. Now that I've got full winter gear back, I do have a pair of merino wool gloves, and I'll get to rain. Well, we can talk about that now too. I also carry a pair of rain mitts, and they're just the REI brand of rain mitts. I really like those. I kept them all summer just in case I needed them. And when it was really cold, like in the Smokies with snow and ice, I wore my merino gloves and then the rain mitts over them, and they were great in really cold temperatures. Also, just when it's cool and rainy, those rain mitts like save your fingers. I'm carrying one sock hat because I have no hair. My head gets cold. Early this winter when I started, I carried a merino wool sock hat to sleep in, and I carried this acrylic REI sock hat because it fit nicely over my hat and I could hike with it. When I go back to finish up, the cold is mainly going to be in higher elevations and maybe in Maine, but I'm not going to carry two sock hats because I also have a merino wool buff, so I'm just going to carry the acrylic sock hat when I go back. I wear darn tough medium cushion quarter length socks. I wear one pair, I have one extra pair, and then I started out carrying a higher, not the quarter ankle ones, for sleep socks. But at one of the outfitters, I think in Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania, they did the darn tough sock exchange, and I did have some wear in a pair of socks. So I got a pair of these. These are brand new ones. I haven't really been using them at all, but I'm carrying these. So these are sleep socks, but they're the exact same socks that I hike in. So I could use them interchangeably, but I would always keep a pair of dry ones, obviously for hypothermia avoidance reasons. So when I started the hike this year, I started with Smart Wool 250, the Smart Wool brand of merino, 250 weight, tops and bottoms. I love them, but they're heavy. They're like 1.5 pounds for the top and bottom. I don't think I'm going to need them. I probably don't really need winter gear yet, but since I'm home and I'm going to take it all back with me to avoid any kind of shipping and back and forth, I've decided that I'm not going to take my merino 250. I do want a long sleeve base layer to sleep in when it's colder, but I did have a merino 150 long sleeve shirt. This isn't as comfortable. It's a different feeling material than the 250, but it'll do. It's lighter and it's sufficient, so I'm going to take that. And for sleep pants, I have a pair of 32 heat. You can get like 2 pair of these things for $10 at Costco. Super thin, super light. They're also, I have another pair that are my hiking leggings, and I love them. They weigh almost nothing. I think they're 4 ounces or 5 ounces at the most. I probably don't need to carry hiking leggings and sleep ones, but I'm going to. You always want to keep your dry layer for cold weather for sleeping. So I will be carrying 2 of those. And these are just hiking leggings. Same thing as those, they're 32 heat brand, except these are actually women's. They have a higher waist and it's a more comfortable top. I bought these first because they didn't have the men's. So I bought like a large women's instead of a medium men's. And they're actually more comfortable for hiking because it seems that the top of my pack hits the top of the waistband on the men's and it's constantly pushing them down. Whereas the women's are higher waisted, they can be pulled up under the top of the pack, and it's more comfortable to hike in. So I've stayed with them because, you know, fashion doesn't matter on the trail. I do carry my straps for my quilt. I've used them maybe 3 times, but the whole hike, I don't use the straps. So when I went to my synthetic quilt, I did not use a separate stuff set. My pack is lined with a compactor bag, so I just stuffed the synthetic quilt in the bottom. I'm using a Sea to Summit Ultralight dry bag for the down quilt. And let me show you, for those of you that don't know what a quilt is, it's similar to a sleeping bag, but the way a sleeping bag works is either in the down or the synthetic, it captures the air from your body, and that's how it warms you. So the whole bottom part where you're sleeping on, it's completely compressed. It does nothing for insulation on the bottom. So the quilt is just like it says. It's got a sewn toe box, and then it's just a quilt on the top. So you can strap the sides to your pad to keep drafts and whatever, but I really just don't have that problem. It's plenty big enough that I don't need that. And this is the regular size. So if you're trying to figure out what size, like this is not the long or not the wide. Both of my quilts are regular length, regular width. I like to say 5'10", but I'm probably like 5'9". And then I weigh about 185. I think I weigh 183 right now. So this is the quilt. I think the 10 degree with the overstuff weighs 21 ounces or 23 ounces. I don't remember which. And then the synthetic, I think 17 or something like that. So the bottom of this is a closed toe box. Right here. It's sewn all the way around. So your feet go in here. And then the rest of this is just a quilt that goes around you like this. Ooh, it's so comfortable. Anyway, so there is my quilt. Let's see what else I have in here. This is an add-on to the pack. I do carry the chest telephone holder. I carry a pair of reading glasses because I'm getting old and I can't see. This is a Buff brand Merino wool buff. So I've used it as a sock hat in the cold time when it was cold to hike. Mostly I've used this more recently. It's just as a headband, and it keeps the sweat from pouring into my eyes and burning my eyes. What else do I have in here? In addition to my rain mitts, I have Montbell rain gear. It's probably the lightest and best that I have seen. I would buy this again. I will buy this again. The Montbell is amazing. I've never really had it wet out. I think the inside has gotten wet from sweat, but I've never had it wet out. I have used this for the entire I've had this with me for 2,300 miles or more. And I wear the jacket a lot, like in mornings, even when it's not raining, just as a light layer. It also has pit zips. They're a little pricey, but it's, in my opinion, it's the best out there. Let's see. I'm not going to open these up. It's just super low. I'm guessing here, I think the top is 5 ounces and the pants are 3.5 ounces or something. Super light compared to some other things. Some people like the Frog Togs because they're light and cheap and they can just keep replacing them. I prefer just to have the good ones and stick with it. I have them in a baggie. This is a light load towel that I use to wipe my tent off in the morning. I do have a bug net. I've carried this sucker since Georgia. I don't think I've ever put it on my head. I probably should have on some of those days. I also carry a Cork massage ball. I used it a lot early on. I've not been as good about using it in more recent days, or months probably. I do some stretching still, but I don't stretch nearly as much as I used to either. I keep this in a baggie in the outside pocket because if it rains, this thing gets full of water. The baggie keeps that dry. We got another dog walking by, so all the dogs have to. Hey, Deuce, how are you, baby? Here is my bag of toilet paper. I threw away my old bag, and this is all new, good toilet paper that I stole from my mom. It's good cushion, soft stuff, not the cheap hotel stuff I've been stealing for the last several months.
You stole my toilet paper?
Absolutely. Deuce of Spades. This is probably what the trowel that almost everyone carries. This thing, it's titanium. It weighs 0.6 of an ounce. This is what you use to dig your hole, to go poo in. I don't know what else to say about that. You gotta carry a trowel. In that weight I mentioned earlier, I do have a new full bottle of bug spray as well. So most people, I mean, if you're looking at base weight, that doesn't count, but there's a lot of bugs out there, so I'm carrying this right now. What else do I have? Oh, I've got one of the hand sanitizers that just clip on the outside of your pack. I refilled this one while I was home. I do have one of my hip belt pockets full of snacks for my first day when I'm back on trail. And in my other hip belt pocket, I carry Burt's Bees chapstick. I have some Gold Bond friction defense. And then I have a small waterproof bag, like a cheap running rain jacket I bought a long time ago came in, and I have iPhone earbuds. I don't use rechargeable ones, I just use the wired ones because it's one less thing I have to worry about recharging. I also have my headlamp in here. I have a Nightcore NU25. In my opinion, it's probably the best hiking headlamp. It weighs nothing. It weighs like 9/10 of an ounce. So the headband that comes with it actually weighs more than the headlamp. So you can see on YouTube how to do this. I'm not going to do a video on it, but that's where I found it. I cut the big thick headband off and I bought some elastic shot cord. Just a super light elastic shot cord, and I found one of these little like compression stoppers, and I made my own. So this thing weighs less than 1 ounce. It's rechargeable. It has white light, red light. It's got turbo. It's got 4 white light modes. Like there's a turbo mode. It weighs nothing. I've never gotten close to needing to like run out of this. I charge it. I don't even charge it all the time when I go into town. I don't night hike though, but people that do night hike often still use these. And they're not overly expensive for what they are. Like it's 30 bucks or something probably. Let's see. What else do I have in this pack? I think that's it. I do keep an extra carabiner right here that I clip my hat on, because when I'm climbing mountains and sweating a lot, I don't like to wear my hat. It's just cooler without it. So a lot of times I use this little carabiner to clip that. And I took it off and I put it over here just because it's out of the way. But when it's raining and my pack is wet, I use a carabiner right here, and I hang this on my trekking pole strap, because my tent goes up with my trekking poles, not regular poles. So I hang this outside the tent. Usually it goes in the tent with me. I think that's it. That's the entirety of all the gear that I carry. Oh, one thing here. This is the Z-Packs food bag. My food bag full right now is like, I think close to 8 pounds. I also carry wet wipes in here to clean up with at night. Keep all your smellables in here. That's why the wet wipes are in here. I have my toothbrush, my toothpaste, some Q-tips in here. I also keep my cook kit in here. I'm not gonna dig it out and show you because it's a very small, well, maybe I should. If this is the gear video, let's do it right. Let's dig it all out. Some people carry really big pots and I just don't see a need. I never cook in my pot. I just boil water in the pot, because when you're on trail, if you cook in your pot, Leave No Trace says we can't just clean it and dump the water out, because then the smells are there around the camp and it draws the bears and the other little critters. So I cook in freezer bags. I just use this to boil water. This is the Toaks Titanium 550 mug. I use this also as a coffee cup and my cook pot. It's super light, it's titanium, and everything fits right inside of it perfectly. And I'll show you what this is in a second. One of the things I have in here is a pair of hot lips. It's a little silicone piece like right here. So if I heat my water for coffee, which I haven't made trail coffee in a while, since it's been warm and since you gotta do more miles, you don't have the time. But this just slips around the outside of your cup. because the cup can be warm and you don't want to burn your lips. So I do carry these hot lips. This is a 4-ounce can of fuel. There's no need to carry these big 8 and 16-ounce cans of fuel. This thing will probably last, and people love to say that this stove I'm about to show you is a very inefficient stove. I can do at least 15 boils with this stove and a 4-ounce can of fuel. I'm going to go and show you as I put this back. So I have a little cloth just to keep things dry, and this is just a small piece of a light load cloth like I showed you before. It also keeps the metal of this from clanging around in here and damaging the inside of my pot. So then I just tuck the hot lips in there, my Bic mini lighter. My stove is right here. This is the entirety of the stove. Is it right here? Takes up no space. So all you do, you unfold this thing. This is a BRS stove. They're like 10 bucks on Amazon. Titanium. I think it weighs less than an ounce, like 0.8 of an ounce or something for the stove. This screws around top of the fuel, and that's it. I've had this thing for quite a while as well. I've used this even hunting and on other things just to heat up water to make coffee. Also, when you get your pot, you know, you see a lot of people getting the 650 milliliter, 750 or even bigger pots. I don't know why there's a need for it, but this 550 has been more than I've needed. Some of the Mountain House, or I think it's the Backpacker Pantry ones, sometimes they want up to like 2 1/4 cups of water, and you can do that in here. Let's see if I can read how many cups you can put in here. I can never see this, I guess, half the time. I think this will hold like up to 2 1/2 cups of water. You can do your math or Google and see how many milliliters are in cups and all that. I don't know, but I know that I can boil at least 2 1/2 cups in here and bring it to a boil. So the hot lips, the fuel, the stove, all that fits inside of here. The other thing, when you're looking to buy your pot, buy one with the lid. It makes your boil time faster, and it makes you get more boils out of your fuel because it's more efficient. The handles fold that way. And then I just use, these come with like a bag. I don't use the bag. I just have 2 rubber bands that I put around the pot like this. And I wouldn't need to carry this in my food bags because I don't cook with it and there shouldn't be any smells on it. It's just convenient for me. It's a good place to put it. So I always just keep this in my food bag. And that is it. That's all I've got to show you, I believe. So, that's my gear video. If you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments below. I don't think I would change out anything that I'm carrying. Like if I went to do a through hike again after this one's over, I'm trying to think. I don't think I would switch out anything that I have. I would maybe try a different pack just because the Hyperlight packs or ULA packs look cooler maybe, but as far as comfort and function, the Gossamer Gear Mariposa has been great. Pretty much I think, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I used. Oh, right now I'm filming this on a tripod. I started out carrying that tripod and I got rid of it pretty quickly because it weighs 5 or 6 ounces and I didn't feel like I needed to carry it. For the most part, though, at the beginning of this through hike, I did not have a lot of gear that I'm not still carrying, or vice versa. I've switched out a few little things like sunglasses, because I lost them and then found some. And then I got rid of those and I found these to drive home. A lot of people use 2 water bottles without a water bladder, and they'll use a Sawyer squeeze because the threads of the squeeze match that of a Life Water or a Smart Water bottle. So they'll keep one bottle as a dirty bottle with the filter screwed on the top of it. The only thing I don't like, I've tried that and done that in the past, but your dirty bottle, you're constantly squeezing that thing and they get so janky, like just from the constant squeezing. And then it seems like you can't really ever get all of that water out of there. I really like the bladder, it's easier. I keep both my water bottles clean because I almost always have some kind of electrolyte mix in one, and I like to have one with fresh water in it. So I like to keep both bottles clean. And then especially in these dry stretches, or if you're gonna camp, there's water a half mile before camp and you wanna have plenty of water for the day in the morning and to leave the next day. It's so easy to just fill up the extra 3 liters in here and carry it. And I love that this has a strap. You carry it like a little briefcase full of water instead of putting it on your back. Oh, the only other thing I do, trekking poles. I don't have them out here. They're in the back of the rental van. I'm using the REI Traverse with the Cork handles. I had Gossamer gear poles and most of my last year. I used the Gossamer poles on pretty much in everything before this hike. I used Gossamer gear carbon poles. They're pretty pricey. I broke one of the straps on the Foothills Trail. I fell, and the carbon, well, the carbon was fine, but the strap broke on the top. So I did buy just the top section from Gossamer gear. So I still have those poles. I just wanted to try some different for this hike, especially since they're what holds my tent up. I wanted to have a metal pole. So I went to go buy a pair of Leggings actually at REI, and they had the REI Traverse, and they were a good bit cheaper, and the grips were just bigger, and they just felt better in my hands. So I bought those, and as you saw, I bent them a week or 2 weeks ago, and I was able to straighten it back out, and I've done another, I don't know, 100 miles or more with it like that, and it works perfectly. So I'm gonna just, I had thought about trying to switch them out since I bent the bottom section, but it's working fine. So I'm gonna try to use those for the rest of the hike. That's it. There's my gear video. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'll be happy to answer them. Class of 2023 and 2024. I hope this has been helpful for you, friends, family, and those new to backpacking. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Maybe we'll have to do like some big group backpacking trip for all of you, but I'll tell you what, this stuff's expensive. I didn't touch on price and everything, so I mentioned the tent. Just to give you an idea, if you were going to buy everything I've talked about, now, I didn't even think about that because I have 2 quilts for different weather. I mean, realistically, if you're gonna buy, I mean, $2,500 is probably gonna be on the short end. And the other thing, you're gonna buy stuff and you're gonna not like it, and you're gonna switch around. Like, I have another pot that I had bought at first. I have a different stove. I have a lot of this stuff. I have duplicates in multiple. Like, I bought 3 tents. This was, well, the duplex is the 3rd backpacking tent I bought before I fell in love with this one. You know, part of backpacking is you get to try out the new gear, I guess. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here, and I may do another gear video after the hike. But I don't know, we're close enough to the end. This is probably it. And I don't know, I'm just not a gear review. I'm a storyteller. I like to tell the story of what I'm doing and where I'm going. I'm just not a gear review type guy. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this nonetheless. Have a good one. See y'all later.